I just want to make it clear before I get into how I got to this point. I have deep respect for every doctor, everybody working in the MD field. Before I get into this, this was my reaction to things. So with that being said, I wanted to do pre-med, med, do the full MD, not necessarily a surgeon, but I wanted to help people with pain. And the more you get into the coursework, you lose yourself first in the biology of it. And then as you start to get into the medical side of it, you start to realize that there's a difference from what you've learned and the application of. And again, I understand why we have insurance, legal oversight, and all these things, but very early on in my career, before I ever was able to complete an MD of any kind, it was made painfully clear to me, you are subject to insurance standards, not medical ethics in the same way. The medical ethics are assumed, but there's the extra load of insurance standards, and here's what I mean by that. I was warned early on by a mentor, brilliant surgeon out of Chicago, that there is a huge difference between being a doctor and being a healer. And being a doctor meant that occasionally people would be denied access to necessary medicine. And you as the physician had to deliver that information. I'm sorry, insurance has denied your request for the spinal surgery that could have you walking again. They've only offered the following options. And even though you as the doctor know this person needs it, even though you as the doctor know that this could be the answer, if you go around insurance and you start playing that game, it's not that you're violating medical ethics. The Med Review Board won't get angry with you. What I was warned about is insurance will stop insuring you. And this is where their power is. And this is what I want everyone to understand about insurance and doctors. Doctors run scared of insurance because insurance and being insured as a doctor is a business transaction. And the insurance companies are allowed to pull your insurance for any reason they want. It doesn't have to follow medical ethics alone. So if they see you doing end runs around their system, they'll drop you. And if you're uninsured, you can't practice. So early on, it became clear to me that if I wanted to truly help people as a healer, that meant I had to go into medical research. Medical research is where we get to ask the questions. It's where we get to experiment. It's where we get to have someone sign off and go, I understand that the procedure I'm about to receive is experimental, and go through that process before we ever hit FDA screening, which, interestingly enough in my world, cups have absolutely zero oversight. Just putting it out there why everybody should be picking up a cup set. But I digress. As I got into medical research, the same professor strongly recommended that I seek out a couple of different programs that do unique forms of medicine. And it just so happened I had been on a trip the year before with a woman who needed an extensive amount of unique work for a unique condition called small vessel autoimmune vasculitis, highly uncomfortable. And in the West, steroids are pretty much the only option. And we went to Clifford Hospital in Guangzhou. There, they had her in remission in 2 weeks. So after talking with my mentor, it became obvious that I needed to seek out where the research was going to happen at its best. And that was Clifford. That was some of the research they do in their East-West diagnostics. And it was the first place that I was exposed to this idea that Eastern medicine and Western medicine tend to say the same thing, just with different cultural verbiage. That was where cupping became my source of main interest, and where my life as a medical researcher transitioned heavily into translational for traditional Chinese medicine. Over the years, I found that traditional Chinese medicine has a ton of answers. They're just not stated in the common British imperial medical model within the Latin construct we all know. They use phrases like, you don't have enough coals to digest the meat in your stomach, where in the West we would say you're having a protease and lipase deficiency, meaning that you can't properly digest meats and fats. So again, this is that brilliance of being a doctor wasn't my actual calling. Being a healer is a whole different route that allowed me to get into research, and from research develop the method that I now bring to the table within fascial integration therapy.